Imagine it's Tuesday, and a friend asks if you have plans for Friday night. You're free, so you reply that you don't have any plans on that night. But what happens when your friend invites you to go with him and others to a fun party? Instead of committing, we say something like, "Oh, maybe, I'll have to see. Can I get back to you later in the week?" Why don't we give a definite response such as, "Yes, thanks for the invite. I'd love to go with you to that party." The main reason we don't commit to our friends in a situation like this, aside from hurting their feelings, is because we want to keep our options open, in case someone else plans something more exciting. Instead of giving a definite no, we say maybe to keep this friend as a backup option. In this scenario, a utilitarian attitude has been adopted, where it started to use this person. Utilitarianism affects the way we live out our relationships, because we start to view our relationships in terms of how useful this person is for me to achieve my goals or how much fun I'll have with this person. The assumption here is that pleasure consists in happiness. If my main goal in life is to pursue my own utility or pleasure, then I make choices in life in light of how much they lead me to this goal. This helps explain why many friendships and dating relationships, and even marriages today, are so fragile and so easily dissolved. If I value a person because she is an advantage to me, or derive some pleasure from being with her, then there is not much of a foundation for the relationship. As soon as I stop experiencing pleasure or benefit from my time with her, she is no longer valuable to me. The main takeaway from this scenario that John Paul II lays down is the personalist principle. This means that a person must not be merely the means to an end for another person. In other words, because humans are capable of self-determination and free will, we should never use people for our own aims. To understand how a relationship of authentic love forms, we need to examine the three types of friendships that Aristotle postulates. In fact, all relationships start from friendships. The first type of friendship is of utility. This is based on the benefit or use the friends derive from the relationship. Each person gets something out of the friendship that is to his advantage, and the mutual benefit of the relationship is what unites the two people. For example, many work-related friendships fall under this category. Let's say Bob owns a construction company in Boston. He has a friendship with Sam in San Francisco because Sam sells the kind of nails that Bob needs. For their business exchanges, Bob and Sam see each other a few times a year and email each other regularly. Over the years, they've learned about each other's careers, families, and interests. They're friends, but what unites them is the particular benefit they receive from their friendship. Nails for Bob and sales for Sam. Second, in a friendship of pleasure, the basis of affection is the pleasure one gets out of the relationship. This friendship is primarily about having fun together. The friends may listen to the same music, play the same sport, or like to hang out at the same nightclub. The two people may sincerely care about each other and wish each other well in life, but what unites them as friends is primarily the pleasure of the good times they experience together. Useful and pleasant friendships are basic forms of friendships, but they do not represent friendship in the fullest sense. This means they are least likely to stand the test of time. When the mutual benefits or the fun times no longer exist, there is nothing left to unite the two people. For example, if Sam leaves the nail selling business to sell books, what will happen to his friendship with Bob now that he no longer needs to sell the nails that Bob needs? Sam and Bob may still exchange Christmas cards, but since they no longer need to communicate regularly, their friendship will most likely begin to dissolve. The third form of friendship is friendship in the fullest sense. It can be called virtuous friendship, because the two friends are united not in self-interest, but in the pursuit of a common goal, the good life, the moral life that is found in virtue. Unlike useful and pleasant friendships, where the emphasis is on what I get out of the relationship, in a virtuous friendship, the two friends are committed to pursuing something outside themselves, something that goes beyond their self-interests. It is this higher good that unites them in friendship. So what does this all have to do with relationships? John Paul II says the key way two people can avoid using each other is to relate to the pursuit of a common good, as in the virtuous friendship. This common aim unites people internally. If we live out our relationships with this common good in mind, we avoid using the other person as a means to an end, for some pleasure or use. For example, friendship in marriage must be centered on the bond of a common aim. This common aim involves the union of spouses, serving each other and helping each other grow in holiness. and the procreation and education of children. Our own individual preferences and agendas should be subordinated to these higher goods. The husband and wife give themselves to each other and to the good of their children, and actively work to prevent any selfish individualism from creeping into their marriage. This unity ensures that one person is not used by another or neglected by the other. Without this common end, our relationships will inevitably fall into some form of using the person for our own benefit or pleasure, instead of being one of authentic love.